Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Film Room Podcast. This is episode 33. I'm your host, Joe Baress, along with my co-host, Joby Fawcett. Joby, it's a nice day out there. It's March 31st. It's a Monday. How are you?
Joe, I was better until my gym session today. Going for the big weights, I was feeling good this morning, and I grabbed a guy to spot for me today. He did a wonderful job. I got stuck on my last set, my last repetition, and I suffered a little setback with the old upper trapezius injury.
Oh, no.
And so I'm battling a stiff neck right now, but we're going to power through here. We're going to enjoy the rest of the week weather-wise if it stops and does not rain for the rest of the week. But yeah, Joe, I'm going to have to get the ice pack out and a little bit of icy hot on there, and we'll see how we do.
Joby, you could have told me you were playing hurt,
Well, Joe, I am at my age now, and doing the heavy weights is not recommended by your physician. But I thought I would go for what they like to call the old PR.
Sure.
On the incline bench press. And let's just say, Joe, 240 pounds is a little heavier than I thought it was going to be.
Certainly. Joby, if I'm getting on an incline bench press, I'm not getting up. Let's just say that. It's not.
Okay, well, I
so you're doing better than me.
I suffered a similar fate today, Joe, not by my own doing, but by the fact of weight. It could have been a very troublesome situation, but thankfully the gentleman helped me, and
good.
We'll move forward.
All right. Well, good luck getting back from that.
Thank you, Joe.
So we are actually joined, of course, by our athlete of the week, as we always are, Amaya Monacelli of North Pocono lacrosse. Amaya, how we doing?
I'm good. I'm a lot better than Mr. Fawcett is today. But I'm really good.
Absolutely thrilled to hear that. So what Amaya did last week in 3 games, she totaled 20 goals and 3 assists, and she also reached the 300 goal milestone, which feels like a lot of goals. And so the North Pocono went 2-1 last week, losing to a very good Allentown Central Catholic team. Amaya, where I'm going to start is, 300 goals. Like I said, it feels like a lot of goals, but what does it mean to you to get to that milestone?
I mean, lacrosse is something, since I've been a little girl, I've always loved it. And you look up to some of the older players, not just North Pocono girls, but girls all around the area. And when you're little, you see them and it's really cool. But once you're actually in the moment, I mean, it's a great feeling. And our team this year had something really special, and North Pocono was always kind of a team that you just laughed off, or it would be an easy game to play, but we're really stepping it up this year. And I mean, I couldn't do anything that I've accomplished without my teammates, because they feed me the ball. They get the transition work. I mean, we have a really bright season ahead, and I'm really excited to see what we do.
Amaya, so you mentioned you started very young. The North Pocono program is not very old. Now, it was part of this wave of schools that started their lacrosse programs. I believe there was a grant that was distributed by the Lacrosse Association for schools to help schools start the programs with equipment and everything. But so most kids were probably playing other sports, softball, basketball, whatever, but you were interested in lacrosse. So how did that become something that was interesting to you at a young age?
So I was always one of those big softball players. I did the travel. I did all that stuff. I drove my parents crazy at tournaments every weekend. But I had a friend, and she was like, why don't we just do it? Scranton Youth Lacrosse started an organization, Coach Becky Davis. She's the coach for Abington's team.
Mm-hmm.
And she got it started for us. And I was on her first team that played. And there weren't a lot of us, so we had to play up with the older girls. But I definitely got us that exposure. And all of the girls that did play on that original team are seniors this year that were in my group. So it's really exciting. I mean, it was something that I fell in love with at such an early age. And by, I believe, 6th grade, I quit softball, and I decided lacrosse was definitely what I wanted to pursue.
Absolutely. Let me piggyback off that. Let me first mention that you guys actually beat Scranton Prep last week, which for the first time, which is incredible. And I'll get back to that. But to kind of piggyback off what you were saying, and you could tell me if I'm wrong, but obviously lacrosse is not, it's not the baseballs, the softballs, the basketball, the football, it's not the bigger sport.
Yeah.
But tell me, like, what has the growth been like in the sport in the area?
I mean, it's been huge. When we were younger, my parents always were happy and I was happy. My parents didn't know anything about the sport, and not a lot of parents knew about the sport, so they couldn't complain. They couldn't yell at the refs. So it was always nice to go to the games. I didn't have to hear them complain about whatever. And now, I mean, you go to games, everybody knows about the sport, and not just in the Northeast area, but I feel like everywhere lacrosse has really grown. They started the Women's International League, so that's a new thing this year. I mean, there's a lot of new stuff, and especially in like the girls aspect of it, it's growing a lot, and it's really cool to see, especially in our area.
Yeah. So without getting too far ahead of ourselves here, Amaya, so you mentioned how much this program has improved throughout the years in your varsity career, and you've played a big part in that, in helping, kind of recruit players to come out for the team. And naturally, other kids who were just starting out like you were needed time to learn the game and the skills and the rules. That can't be easy either, but you had a little bit of a head start for that. But you mentioned to me during last off season, you thought this team could really, you know, have a bright season. So how happy are you with the way this group has come together, learned the game, and really formed that bond you need to be successful in lacrosse?
I'm really, really happy for us, but more importantly, I'm really just proud. We've come such a long way. I mean, we went from my freshman year, we had girls, we didn't know any positions, we didn't know anything. And now we have a solid group of girls playing. We have good girls coming up. We have a freshman this year that's starting. I mean, all of the hallway sprints, the lifts, everything. We've just come together. And this year, more than anything, I think emotionally, we're so connected. And this year means more than anything to us, especially all the seniors on the team. It's been a really long couple of years, but it's been such an amazing couple of years. And I couldn't really ask for more for my teammates or my coaches.
Certainly, you guys have had a great start to the season so far. As I mentioned, beating Prep for the first time, it's weird to say because you always want to win every game, but Allentown Central Catholic, I think you guys lost by a lot more last year to them than you did this year, which is obviously, I mean, it's progress. It's progress. What do you guys kind of have to do the rest of the year to kind of keep your progression going, and what has been working for you guys?
I think one of our biggest things is we have to stick together. We'll play teams, and even on Saturday when we played Allentown, when we would get up on them, they would kind of go against each other or blame each other. And that's something we've really been focusing on this year not to do. And we kind of have a thing where, say defense messes up, offense says, hey, we'll get a goal back. Or if offense messes up, defense can say, hey, we'll get that stop and transition it back up the field. So we're kind of doing a thing where instead of focusing on each other's mistakes, we're just having that eraser mindset and seeing how we can move forward. And I think that's going to be pivotal in advancing our season this year.
So, Amaya, what the listeners probably don't know, or if they do know, they learned about it a couple of years ago. You were one of those outstanding players who you've kind of gotten recruited through. You were out marketing yourself with the travel teams, and you landed into an NCAA Division I scholarship, which I know you're extremely excited about. Tell me what that was like to, number one, get that out of the way and be able to focus in on what you want to do, not just as a team, but also individually here in your final year.
I mean, the recruiting process was really tough. I'm not going to lie, but it's tough for everybody. It's stressful, but you kind of have to just see the positives in it, in the sense where I have such an opportunity that not a lot of kids get. And I think that's just really important with looking into our season this year too. Like, we have such an opportunity to be such a good team, and just focusing on that and our ability that we have, we just have to keep maxing out and playing our best. And I think we really could do something special. So just seeing the potential that we have and focusing on that rather than the stressors and the negative things, that will be really crucial to having a good season.
Absolutely. And speaking of, college, why did you end up choosing Central Connecticut State?
So I loved our coach. That was a huge thing. She contacted me on September 1st and was very eager to contact and talk to me. And I really liked that because a lot of the time it's the players trying to pursue coaches, which I was in that spot a lot. And she was a coach that seemed to really like me, and we had a really good connection, which I thought was really good. I also love the girls on the team. I went up on my official visit in October. So I met a bunch of the girls. I met the teammates. I met my coach in person, and I really liked them. And I love Connecticut. I mean, I love New England. My mom travels a lot for work, so I've gone up there with her before, and I just fell in love when I went up there. I love everything about it. I'm really, really excited.
Amaya, so how are you navigating this NIL stuff that's going on now in the NCAA? I don't know how in depth it is with lacrosse, but I'm sure you're going to be, have to work out some things and get advice from people and kind of navigate that whole process that's going on at the collegiate level.
I mean, it's definitely overwhelming, but I'm just trying to take things day by day. And I'm somebody who does worry a lot about things, but again, I'm just trying to make it as smooth as I could. So I'm kind of just going to see how it goes once I get there. And I'm going to try to have a really good relationship with my coach, my teammates. So if I do have questions, I could always talk to them. I'm a big talker, if you guys can't tell, and I'm a big questions person. So just keeping that open line of communication, I think I'm just kind of going to see how it goes as I get there and just figure it out along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Amaya, I noticed in your Athlete of the Week interview that you have an interest in journalism, and obviously that's interesting to both of us. Tell me, what you do, everything you do for North Pocono. Actually, you're really involved in journalism and beyond at the school.
Yeah, I mean, I really love communicating, like communications, just all of that type of thing. I think it's good that people know what's going on around our school. So we have something called Trojan Television, where it's like a weekly broadcast. And every week, obviously, you go through and you basically say the announcements going on at the school. The teachers could send them in. And then my favorite thing I like to do is like all the creative stuff. So it's called Trojan Television on the Street. So we'll ask like the lunchroom questions and see what the students like their thoughts on things. So last week we talked about March Madness, and then that was our question that we asked like students, what's your bracket look like? Just that type of thing. But I mean, we do inform, but we also kind of keep a funny light side to it. So students like watch it because sometimes they don't just want to hear the news going on in the school.
So needless to say, you're into this whole podcast, social media type of era that we are in, right?
Mm-hmm. I love it. Unfortunately, I love it.
That's good. No, that's good to have that kind of an interest. Yeah. I mean, look, that's the future, right? That's why Joe Baress started this.
Yeah. I think it's really, really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we're going to offer you a job.
The pay is not great.
We'll see where it takes me.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we only make the medium bucks, but
yeah, the pay's not great and the hours are really lousy. But
we're really selling it. But the good news, Joby, is that Amaya, you're very interested in getting into nursing. Tell us about that. What is this pull there for you?
So I grew up, my sister has type 1 diabetes, so in and out of hospitals when she was younger a lot. Just my parents were kind of trying to figure out what was going on. And she's 7 years older than me, so I was really little and I would kind of just go along with everything. And just seeing how much one nurse can impact her stay at the hospital, or even my parents, they put all the time, all the money into that, and seeing if a nurse was good at explaining it or making them feel reassured that my sister was in good hands. I think that's really important. And I want people to feel okay. And I think doing nursing will grant me that opportunity where I could hands-on help people. And I want to make people feel good.
Well, that sounds great. Now, Amaya, you mentioned about you did the person on the street, the cafeteria poll. Yeah. So who do you have winning the Final Four here in NCAA basketball?
I'm going to be honest. I just watched the clips on Instagram. I really don't know much about it.
Oh, you'll do as well as I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm a bandwagon. I mean, I picked Duke for the boys.
Yes.
And then I picked UConn for the girls. I love Caitlin Clark, but obviously she's not playing college ball anymore. So I picked, again, I'm a bandwagon, UConn for Paige Beckers.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. That's the way I went that way for both of my brackets as well. So that's
hopefully I'm not disappointed.
Exactly. But Amaya, my family always does the Italian. We every Sunday we have pasta. It's pasta day.
I
The
love it.
Baress residents. Yeah. And, I saw that you guys, your family's really into you guys are foodies and everything. Do you tell us about that. Do you guys have a special day? Do you have a special meal? Anything like that?
Yeah, so I mean, Sunday's our day. I feel like that's
Nice.
pretty common. Yeah, we love Sunday. Actually, after my interview last night, I was sitting there. My dad was like, "Hey, you have a call at 6:30." I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I had the big bowl of pasta like under me. I was like, "Oh my god!" There was sauce on my face. I was like, "No." We love pasta though, and especially my dad's side, they're very Italian. So we spend a lot of time with them. We spend holidays with them. My Aunt Donna makes really, really good food. So we're big foodies. Sometimes that stinks if I have a game the next day, but get my carbs in, I guess. So
Exactly.
Now, Joe, keeping with what seems to be a recurring theme this year in the Athlete of the Week honorees, Amaya may not know this. However, her dad
I knew it.
and I competed against each other since we were 10 years old through junior football all the way up into varsity football and varsity track. So he and I go back a very long way. So if you get a chance, Amaya, now I've never been invited to a Monacelli Sunday dinner, but he and I have known each other since we were very, very young. If you get a chance, ask him how great the glory days were. He'll put the Bruce Springsteen song on in the background, and I'm sure he can recite the West Scranton Invaders' incredible comeback in 1986 with Donnie Monacelli and, of course, Mark Spindler of famed West Scranton Invader, beating Lakeland 21-17 with a touchdown in the last 30 seconds of the game. So I'm sure he'll recall that quite well.
Well, if I go to shake your guys' hand, I do know the West Scranton handshake. So
that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
That's amazing. That is awesome.
That's really, really cool, though. He brags. He brags about you a lot. I heard you were a really good track athlete.
Look at that.
Well, is that right? Well, he remembers it better than I then. And but no, we had a great relationship. We played junior football against each other. I played at Lakeland. He was at the West Scranton junior football, and then we carried all the way through. He was a sprinter for West Scranton. He had a similar personality that you have. That's what strikes me. But when I get a chance to chat with you, I was more like laser focused when I was growing up in high school. I probably bordered on being a little bit rude, but he was great. He was always great to talk to and chat with, and we had a great time growing up.
I mean, he's a lot of the reason I am where I am today. There will be days where I don't want to move, and he's like, "Amaya, let's go. Come on." I'm like, "You know what, Dad? You're right." And then afterwards, I feel great. That's where a lot of our relationship stems from, but I love it. I think it's because he doesn't have a son, so sometimes he projects that onto me, but listen, I don't mind it, so.
That's great. That's awesome. That, it's great to get it's great to be all in on the support from the parents. It's especially cool when you were talking earlier and just like, when I wanted to play lacrosse, my parents didn't really understand the rules. And it's great. It's great to, get the backing,
So he knows the rules now, believe me.
I believe it. Oh, I believe it. See, I'd be on the side of the field being like, this is what I do when I watch hockey or soccer or something. I'm just like, that seems like a penalty. That's got to be a penalty of some sort. I don't know what it is, but it's got to be something. So I guess the last thing that I want to ask you, Maya, sorry, we're running a little bit long with you here, but so, you said one of the athletes you admire is Charlotte North, and you watch professional lacrosse. I've never watched a professional lacrosse match. Where do you watch professional lacrosse, and what do you kind of admire about Charlotte North, and what's it like kind of following professional lacrosse?
Yeah, so you could watch it on ESPN. I mean, they have Instagram accounts, all that stuff, just like any normal sports team would. But what I really admire about her and what I like about watching women's lacrosse is a lot of the players have their own separate accounts, and they'll post like tutorials on how to do certain things. So if I'm watching a game and I see one of them do a really cool shot or a really cool dodge to get to the goal, you could just go on their page and they'll either have like a video instruction or there will be like a trainer that kind of replicates that move, and they show you exactly what to do. So you could apply that onto the real field. I mean, mine would look nothing like any of theirs would. You could at least try, and I think that's really cool.
That's very cool. Absolutely.
Well, maybe it'll look that way someday soon here, Amaya. Give yourself some credit for crying out loud.
Exactly.
I hope so.
So, Joby, you got anything else for Amaya?
No, once again, I'd like to just congratulate you on this Athlete of the Week honor. That's a great milestone. You and I got a chance to chat on Saturday, and you were very happy, and you certainly deserved this great honor. And I wish you continued success. Have a great rest of your season.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks, Amaya. Take care.
Bye, guys.
All right. That was Amaya Monacelli, the athlete, our Times-Tribune Athlete of the Week, brought to you by the Lehigh Valley Orthopedic Institute. Joby, what a great interview. That was awesome.
Yeah, no, she's very good, Joe. And again, she does take a lot of her personality from her dad. Her dad was like that when we were growing up. He was very easy to get along with. He was a competitor. Don't get me wrong. He's an old West Sider.
Right.
Those guys were tough guys.
Yeah.
And he was a physical football player, and he was a very good football player, but he was a very engaging young man. So he and I go back a long way, and I'm happy to see that his daughter's doing so well. I can remember, believe it or not, and I didn't want to say this when she was on, but she had gotten overlooked by the Lehigh Valley Conference after I want to say either her sophomore or freshman year. She had an incredible year in lacrosse. And sometimes it is hard to get noticed on the big picture when your team is still starting out and not having kind of the overall team success that some of the other schools had that season. And I want to say she had a very high goals for total.
I imagine.
But you know that, hey, listen, girls lacrosse, Lehigh Valley Conference is extremely competitive. And so she kind of got overlooked for All-Stars. And he reached out to me and he went over some of the stuff with her. And I thought he did it very respectfully, which you don't often see in this day and age.
No.
And he and I got to talking, and, he kind of went over some things of how she got involved in it and how much she's enjoyed it and how much she's, worked at it. And, he just asked that I keep an eye on her. And I said to him, listen, lacrosse is tricky when it comes to these selections. And, we don't get to see as many of the events that we want to see. Right. And I certainly keep an eye on her. And she's been fantastic, Joe. 300 goals in her career, just incredible. And she's done it against some of the top level competition, including Allentown Central Catholic on Saturday, where she scored 6 goals against one of the better teams out of District 11. So it's a credit to her hard work. She's going to Central Connecticut State, as you mentioned, Division I athlete in a sport that's she's relatively new to.
Right.
She deserves a lot of credit for the dedication she's had toward this sport and improving herself individually, and certainly motivating the other classmates to come out and help build that program at North Pocono.
Absolutely, Joe, man. Again, 300 goals. I mean, I know, I don't know. I know lacrosse, you could pile up the goals, but geez, being, such a great player and, the other team probably marking her often, and she's still getting in the back of the net there. It's just, is truly impressive from her.
She's outstanding. She certainly deserves this Athlete of the Week honor, and want to wish her continued success this year for sure.
Joby, I have a random question for you, and I probably could have asked Amaya, but we were going on 20 minutes with her. If NIL were around when you were playing, and even like when you were in high school, would you have tried to market yourself?
Oh, absolutely, I would have.
So would I have. Oh my gosh.
So I think I could have. You don't know the history, but I certainly think I could have landed some sort of a shampoo deal like Troy Polamalu.
Absolutely, you could have. A little Head and Shoulders, absolutely.
Well, that I definitely would have needed.
Joby, I've always thought about that. As soon as NIL became available, and I forget who are at least one of the first athletes around here to have an NIL deal.
North Pocono from Scranton High School.
That's correct.
I believe that the hard-hitting, home run-hitting Mia Galella from Holy Cross has an NIL deal.
That's right.
Absolutely. I'm going to have to ask her if she's using a torpedo bat like the Yankees.
Exactly. And could you imagine if she started using a torpedo bat? I mean, I guess they'd be flying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I've always thought, it's just like I would just, even though I was like the seventh or eighth man, I would just go out to like the Waffle House or something and just like Baress waffles or something. I'd try to like market myself in that way. I think that'd be a blast.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, you go ahead.
No, Joe, I just wanted to mention to you. Now, remember, I'm on a tight schedule today, so if I have to bail out on you here.
Yeah, you tell me when you gotta leave.
Well, listen, you don't mind me exiting stage left, do you?
No.
I'll only take a quarter of my check this week.
Absolutely. So a quarter of nothing is nothing.
Is that still nothing?
It's still nothing, unfortunately. Okay. So, well, Joby, why don't you hit me with anything that you want to do? We're in the beginning of the spring sports season. Baseball and softball, the league starts Wednesday. We're going to have previews coming up. Half marathon Sunday, Joby.
I'm not running this year, Joe.
You're not going to be in it? All right. Yeah, no. I'm going to sit out as well. So, is there anything track and field, tennis? I mean,
we're just getting started.
Right. We're just getting started here.
League season starts.
Yeah.
Hopefully, weather permitting, Tuesday, Wednesday. We probably will have some stragglers on Thursday as well.
Right.
So that's, we did have some crossover meets last week, but they don't count toward the final division standings. So we really get into the heart of it tomorrow. We're recording Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We did have a big volleyball match last week, Joe. If you're still with me.
I'm here.
Okay. Abington Heights beat Blue Ridge in what was a battle of the last two programs to win the Lackawanna League Championship. Blue Ridge won the last two, Abington Heights 3 years ago. And Abington Heights was very formidable there in boys volleyball. And I know you saw this, Joe, because you were the one who I received the notice from in my email this week that you edited my tennis feature story on the fantastic boys team at Abington Heights that features the entire starting lineup back from last year and has the top three of the top four singles players in the Lackawanna League on the same roster, which, of course, we have District 2 Class 3A champion Pranil Malaha. We also have William Arp at number 2 singles, and we have at number 3 Dominic Peters. So if you got a chance to check that feature out, it appeared in the Sunday Times, and I did a little video for it, and so we're off and running now. Scranton Prep and Abington Heights will play next Monday, Joe. So you'll have to schedule the podcast around that matchup.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. I'll keep that in the back of my head. I mean, probably forget because I'm very forgetful, but absolutely. We'll get that done. Joby, I hear you in the car. You want to sign off?
No, well, we're getting ready to get started. Were you able to hear the car start, Joe?
Yeah.
How nice.
So pick it up, but don't worry. We're
I may lose you here in the next 5 minutes.
Yep. I think you just lost me now.
We're going to get going here now. The weather, if it cooperates, you know what ends up happening, don't you, Joe?
Yeah.
We'll get these stragglers, these 1 or 2 days that are very nice.
Right.
And you think you can get some spring sport?
Exactly. And the weather becomes an issue and there's postponements and everything. And yeah, I think we lost you, Joby, and that is okay. I'm going to consider that Joby Fawcett's sign off. So basically, just to break down a few things that are going on, as obviously every sport anymore, it has the regular season, but it never actually ends. And that was absolutely apparent in my beat in wrestling. We had a bunch of wrestlers compete at a national event in Virginia Beach, like they do every year. And we had some national champions in their respective classes. So obviously, Michael Turry, who finished third in the state this season, he went on to capture a national title in the 145-pound junior division. That's junior class. So we also had a couple freshmen capture some titles as well. Obviously, Mid-Valley Sam Medina continues to roll in his early high school career. He captured a national title in the freshman division, as did West Scranton's Jake Benyo, who is a Riverside student but wrestles with West Scranton as part of a co-op agreement between the schools. We also had freshman CJ Keynes of Hanover area. He finished second. He's coming off a sixth place medal at States. I should also mention that Al Medina also finished sixth at States as well 3 weeks ago. We also had Jake Schiavone of Abington Heights, another freshman. He finished sixth in the nation. And also Gabe Benyo, he finished seventh in his weight class. Also in the girls, Delaware Valley's Kate Pryor, who had the best finish of District 2, grabbing a bronze medal at States. She finished seventh in the 152-pound class at Nationals. So that is 7 District 2 wrestlers who end up placing at this national event. The big takeaway here, I don't know if it's we've been talking about it all year when it comes to wrestling, but again, freshmen, very, very good freshmen. So the future is absolutely keeps getting brighter and brighter for the Lackawanna League and District 2. But once again, it is absolutely brighter for District 2. Plenty of freshmen just continue to tear it up. And then of course, Michael Turry will be coming back for one more season, a 3-time state medalist. And I believe he's won his classification at this national event at least 2 years, maybe 3. I'm not sure. I know he got it as a freshman. He just got it as a junior. I don't recall sophomore year, but I wouldn't doubt it if he did. So just incredible stuff from the wrestlers as they continue. As always, already looking forward to next season, but right now we are in the spring. Obviously besides Amaya Monacelli, we did have a very strong performance from Ava Schmidt of Holy Cross softball. In Holy Cross's 3 wins over Lackawanna Trail, Carbondale area, and West Scranton. She was 4 for 12 with 2 home runs and 7 RBIs. She was also the winning pitcher in all 3 games, had 27 strikeouts in 15 innings, threw a 4-inning no-hitter with 8 strikeouts versus Lackawanna Trail, and a 5-inning 1-hitter with 10 strikeouts against Carbondale. And like I said, we have some great softball and baseball teams. So it'll be a very exciting season. The league season moving toward it will start Wednesday. So other than that, obviously we started talking about the NCAA tournament, and I just want to bring up the fact that, listen, my men's bracket, I have every Final Four team. So I'm going to pat myself on the back for that. But honestly, how hard could it be to pick every single 1 seed? So, but still, I'm going to pat myself on the back.
So, are you able to hear me?
Joby, I can hear you. Are you in transit? Oh, no. Now I can't hear you.
Can you hear me? I might lose you again. I apologize.
I could hear you.
I'm in transit, yes.
Yes.
Are you able to hear me now?
I can hear you. Absolutely.
You can?
I can. Yes.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
I apologize.
Oh. No, that's okay. I was going solo. I figured I'd have to go solo at some point, but I was just talking about some.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I was just talking about some high school wrestlers and, their great performance at a national event at Virginia Beach that happens every year. But I've moved on to the NCAA tournament. Joby, is your bracket still intact? I know you have Florida, I think.
I have Florida winning it over Duke, Joe. I also have Houston as one of my Final Four teams and Auburn as one of my Final Four teams. Now, Joe, as you know, what is unique about the NCAA tournament bracket, whenever you get into a pool, you receive points for picking the rounds correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Did you do that?
Yeah.
Joe?
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. So as you know, it really behooves you to pick the winner correctly, right? Because most pools, they double up the amount of points for each round.
Yes.
Awarded.
Yes.
So So even though I have all four of my teams still alive, I still need Florida and Duke to play in the final and Florida to win in order to win our pool.
Right. Exactly. That's what I was just saying. Like I've got all four in there as well, but so do other people, and other people have Duke beating Florida, which is what I have. So I've got to get that point total tiebreaker. First of all, obviously Duke has to beat Florida, and I got to have the point total tiebreaker in order to win my pool. But as they say, Joby, there's a chance.
There is a chance. As long as they're all still alive, there is a chance to win.
Exactly. And listen, I am a Duke fan, but Duke is very, very good. They're good. Yeah, as well. It's funny because they just gave up 93 points to Arizona and a decent amount to Alabama, but they are a very good defensive team. They could shoot the ball. They've got Cooper Flag. They can score inside, but Houston is a very, very good defensive team. So it should be an interesting matchup. And, I'll be rooting for Duke all the way. It's very difficult to see how, for me as a biased Duke fan, that Duke won't win the title, but we'll see. I don't know. That's why
I wish you the very best of luck, Joe. Now, what I'm going to do for you to save your podcast and your ratings here, I'm going to sign off here if I can.
Okay.
But I want to thank you for having me, and certainly want to congratulate Amaya again. Joe, enjoy your week without me.
I will. Listen, actually take a break, okay?
Well, we're going to see how the week goes.
I don't want to see you in the budget.
Okay.
Even though I already have.
That's just between you and me, Joe. All right.
Okay. All right, Joby.
All right. Have a great week, my friend. I'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks, Joby. Appreciate it, man.
All right.
All right. So Joby Fawcett is leaving us for the show. So I've pretty much covered everything that I wanted to cover, but I do want to talk a little bit about the women's basketball tournament as well. South Carolina's back in the Final Four. Duke gave them a fight. Very good defensive team, but South Carolina, Coach Dawn Staley, great coach, has them back in the Final Four. Also UCLA in the women's Final Four. Lauren Betts is just a great player. Very tough to stop. Still put up some very good numbers in the Elite Eight win over LSU, despite being in foul trouble, and had a massive game in the Sweet 16. Tonight, depending on when you listen to this, may be over, but obviously UConn looks great. Paige Becker's had an incredible night in a Sweet 16 game, 40 points, and they're going to face USC. Unfortunately, Juju Watkins tears her ACL, and it's first of all, it's just absolutely devastating for her. Hope she comes back and tears it up. There's no reason that she won't be great when she gets back, but it's obviously a process, and it's disappointing on several levels, most of all for her, but also, I was looking forward to a potentially UConn USC matchup, and that is going to happen tonight, but unfortunately USC is a little shorthanded, obviously a lot of shorthanded, but they've done a great job getting to this point and, getting to the Elite Eight, powering through despite one of the best players in the country suffering an injury. Also tonight we have Texas and TCU. TCU has absolutely been great. Haley Van Lith continues to carry that team deep in the tournament. They had a great win over Notre Dame, a very, very good Notre Dame team in the Sweet 16. Now they're running up against a really good Texas team. I don't know that they can I didn't think they were going to get past Notre Dame, and I don't think they're going to get past Texas, but they're having a great run here, a great season. It's a great story in TCU. We'll see what happens, as my co-host Joby Fawcett always likes to say, is the reason they play the game. So it should be interesting. It's it's been very exciting. Man, I think we have some good games ahead of us. So, and yeah, hopefully I win my pool, selfishly, but we'll see how that goes. As I had mentioned, the Scranton Half Marathon is upon us. It's Sunday, I believe. Let me just make sure I get my days mixed up quite easily, but yes, it is Sunday. So that's pretty exciting for the area as always. And the Major League Baseball season kicked off as Joby had mentioned. The Yankees are already being talked about having torpedo bats, and we'll see what comes with that. I don't really know anything about it, but I know the Yankees have scored a lot of runs, and they've looked very, very good in these first 3 games. And me as a Cardinals fan absolutely appreciates whenever anyone beats the Brewers. So it's been fantastic, but unfortunately, some disappointing news for, Comcast. It appears Yes will be backing out of their Comcast deal. So we'll see where that goes. All you Yes watchers on Comcast, I'm actually one of them, but this seems to happen every year, every 2 years. So we'll see if anybody backs down or anything, but unfortunately that could be an issue. So we'll see, all you Yankee fans out there. I know we have a lot of them in the area. So we'll see what happens. It's a long baseball season. Obviously, we are 3 games into it. So we'll see what happens there. But I think that's everything that I wanted to touch on. Again, I want to thank Amaya Monacelli for joining us for an interview to start the show. Be sure to follow along throughout the week. Like I said, the league seasons, they'll be kicking off for the spring sports. Obviously, we've had games, but we're going to have some previews for softball and baseball that our colleague Scott Walsh is working on. And heck, we've got the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins are in the playoffs, and the Rail Rider season is kicked off. So it's definitely spring. And be sure to follow along at the Times-Tribune.com/sports. Follow our Instagram page and Facebook page, Times Tribune Sports. Follow Joby's Facebook page, Joby Fawcett, the Times Tribune. And, follow our Twitter as well at SportsTT. For all the latest news, we'll keep you up to date. Got a lot of events. It's spring, so absolutely follow along. We've got all the baseball and softball box scores on varsity, the570.com. We'll have roundups every day. Go online. They go up at night. Why wait for the paper when you could read them the night of? So absolutely keep following along. We appreciate the support. We appreciate you listening to this podcast. I'm Joe Baress, and that was Joby Fawcett. And